Welcome to the Gay Buddhist Forum, where teachers from all schools of Buddhism offer their perspectives on the Dharma and its application in modern times, especially for LGBTQI audiences. These talks are offered freely to the world and made possible by appreciative listeners. If you would like to support our efforts to share the Dharma with underserved audiences, please visit gaybuddhist.org. There you can donate, find a list of upcoming speakers, or enjoy many hundreds of these recorded talks dating back to 1996.
Welcome back, everyone. Everyone in the room, again, still looks familiar, so everybody... I'm George Gibbs. I'm your facilitator today. And
my name is Cass.
Grisha.
My name is Henry.
Matthew.
My name is Ray.
Kevin. I'm George.
Jack.
I'm Richard.
Stephen.
My name is Sonny.
Jim.
Welcome, everyone. Our speaker, Prasadachitta, actually lives upstairs and has been here many times before. Welcome. Prasadachitta was ordained into the Triratna Buddhist order in 2011, and he became the chair of the San Francisco Buddhist Center in April 2022. He was born on a back-to-the-land commune in rural Northern California, and that background has inspired his engagement with others in building the SFBC's Rural Meditation Center called Dharma Dara. He also helped to establish a community of Sangha members who support the retreats there. He supports himself as a documentary filmmaker and photographer, but his real life's work is training others who want to practice Buddhism with the Triratna Buddhist community. Thank you, Sariputra, and welcome. Welcome downstairs.
Thank you. Welcome to all of you. Okay, well, let me first say, as chair, this would be the first time, I think it's the first time I spoke here since I became chair. I can't remember. But anyway, be that as may. I just want to say how, as chair, how grateful we are for and respectful we are of your practice, and so happy to have you using this space on Sunday in fulfilling our mission as an organization to support Dharma practice and community. So this is delightful to have happen, and you're not the only other group other than us that use this space, but that is what it is. Sort of, hearing the bio, my life's work. So that is it isn't just my life's work to train people in the Triratna Buddhist community to be ordained. It's also my life's work to support Dharma practice broadly speaking. And this is the fact that you're here is part of my life's work, I would say. So thank you for being here. And one of the things that I'm aware of, yesterday I did an online Dharma talk, I guess, to a group called Tierra Adentro, which is a Central South Latin American group online for Triratna. People from Venezuela, Argentina, mostly Mexico, but also the woman who, Dayabasini, the woman who hosted me, is in Halifax. If anybody knows where that is, it's like Canada, on the big island in Canada.
Nova Scotia.
Nova Scotia, thank you. So just an interesting group. And I was told before the group started that it could be anybody, just to be prepared with a talk that could be for any level of understanding. And I similarly kind of come here this way, which, I hope you all get the opportunity to have that kind of invitation at some point, but it's a daunting one, actually. So you are all Dharma practitioners. I actually recognize everybody here. And so to give a Dharma talk to a bunch of people that could be of any level of understanding is one that I value it, and it just makes me sit back and say, okay, well, this is about the Dharma, this is about reality, this is about the beauty of practicing what is known as, in Buddhist circles, the good in the world, right? The good for self and other, the good for us. And so it doesn't matter what level of understanding we have, we're all working on it. Anyway, I'm here to talk about the Dharma. And just to say, sometimes I think about this, and I think, the place to start is to be grateful to the Buddha for starting this lineage of practice. And all other, in Buddhism in general, can kind of view any being that really comes into contact deeply with their desire for well-being in a kind of realized way that understands that desire is one shared by all sentient beings, is to me a bodhisattva, which means it's regardless of whether or not they're part explicitly of the Buddhist tradition. But I wanted to talk a little bit about isms because the Buddha is part of a lineage of ism, the Buddhism that we're engaging in here. And then there's this word dharma, which has a lot of usage, I will say. But there's this word dharma, which could be the Buddha's teaching. I'm sure people are familiar with that use, the Buddha dharma. But dharma is also sort of the nature of reality as sentient beings experience it. That is also the dharma, which is something mysterious, something ineffable. It's like the heart of what we can realize is the dharma, which is a different meaning than the teaching that helps us realize that. So that's one use. Dharma can also be a particular mode of practice, a particular set of practices. So dharma could be a smaller meaning within the Buddhist community. What is the dharma I follow? What are the practices I do? Who are the people that I affiliate with? The dharma could have those three meanings. So it could be the very nature of reality, the generally what the Buddha taught, and that can be understood differently, or it could be a specific lifestyle that one takes on. Like by being ordained into the Triratna Buddhist community, my dharma could be understood to be everything that comes with this particular ordination. That's three ways to understand dharma. And dharma is a funny word. Like our community in India, the Triratna Buddhist community in India doesn't want to use the word dharma at all. Because for them, dharma often has the connotations of the caste system that they're trapped in. Their dharma is it's really loaded for them, dharma. So we actually use the word dhamma, but even that, so we take the R out because then it becomes a non-Sanskrit word and more Pali, which anyway is neither here nor there. Historically, I won't get into that, but it's somehow softer for them because dharma is like what the oppressive caste system amongst Hindus puts upon them. And I won't even get into that. But I wanted to just talk about isms in relationship to Buddhism, because we have Buddhism. We have, think of all the isms there are. There's like hedonism, and there is animism. There is, what are some other isms? Anybody have isms? Ageism. Monotheism, polytheism. Thank you. Yeah. Was that? Atheism. Yeah.
Sexism.
Thank you. Sexism. Yes.
Alcoholism.
Don't we see? This is a pretty the ism thing is pretty fraught. When you stick that on something, it's certainly kind of loaded. We were talking about. We had a night here on Wednesday night, and that's where all these pictures of nature are sitting around because we were. It was Green Sangha night here, and we were talking about animism. And animism apparently, again, I'm not a scholar, but I think it came out of some kind of anthropological analysis from the 20s. I can't remember some person, but it was actually kind of loaded. It was a kind of a loaded way to sort of lump together a lot of other spiritual traditions found in what were, quote unquote, less civilized, groups of people. So it was animism. But it's actually been embraced a bit more. Some people it's been polished up as a term, and some people really embrace it as a way of talking about the environment as having its own sentience, right? Its own life, its own kind of, and that's beautiful too. So anyway, just to say, ism can be this kind of thing that can be a way of putting people in a box and saying you're that, or it can be a way of believing something dogmatically, or using a feature like sex to sort of separate and define people, sexism, anyway, this whole term ism can be a lot of different things. And so when we say Buddhism, it makes me think, we better be careful with how we put that ism on what the Buddha taught. I think that's a valid thing, that we be very careful with isms. So we have Buddhism and we have Dharma. The reason I brought up Dharma was to sort of I think Dharma actually is something that speaks to the ism. Is the ism about some kind of meaningful realization in life, some kind of experience? Or is the ism to separate people, to say I'm this and you're that, Or I just want to be clear that isms can be used in a lot of ways. It can be used to define ourselves in relationship to the world. And when we were having this conversation about animism, I realized that that the context in that situation was quite positive about animism. Because one of the lines that our founding teacher uses is that if we see the world as dead, if we see objects in the world as dead, as lifeless, that it actually diminishes our capacity to be awakened. That was something that he taught. Basically, he was kind of saying that if you see the world as alive and animated, it lends itself to awakening. Whatever awakening is. In the Buddhist tradition, this is what our founding teacher, one of his lines, and I think he was pointing at animism, the idea that we treat the world as alive, not dead. And, you can do what you want with that. But that was the context of the conversation that we were having that evening about animism, that we relate to the environment as a living thing, and not just the animals or people in the environment, but that which they rely upon is also part of a living system. And I think that's kind of a beautiful way to see things. And I was sitting there thinking, well, am I an animist? Right? I realized, actually, my Buddhism is animism. And then I was like, oh, okay, yeah. Like I do, for example, I don't have a sense that my memories, who I am, what the relationship I have to who I am, where I am, what I was, what I will be in the future, comes about not because of some set of things that are held somewhere inside my brain, which you could call my memories, right? My memories of who I am. I'm sure scientists are studying this, like they're studying where memories are in the brain and whatnot. But I don't relate to the world that way. Like, I don't think I somehow store everything I am in here. My memories are in the environment. Like, my memories are in you. Do you know? Like, the people I know here and the faces that when you're not here, like, I may or may not remember you. So I'm not saying you're not in here, but you're not just in here. Do you know? Like, and the world that I live in, the spaces I occupy, are a part of my memories. If it weren't for those spaces being something that I move about, and that somewhere in my mind I hold as being out there, like proprioception, like I know where my hand is back here. Interestingly speaking, all the things that I think I might remember, they're out there in the world, located somewhere. I live in an environment, an animated environment that is a part and parcel. It isn't me, but it isn't not me either. So this is my animism as a Buddhist, that I live in a world that I am not separate from. My memories are not in my head. They are out there. The things that I relate to are both sort of somewhat recallable, but they're recallable because they're out there, not because I somehow hold them in a memory that I can somehow, And generally speaking, the reason I remember things is triggered by my environment. Like, anytime I remember something, it's because something reminds me of it. And therefore, the world and my memories are not separate things. I am not some kind of silo of experience that can just be who I was and remember things. The world, I'm in an active environment with a world that reminds me of myself. So the world is alive just like I'm alive. And that's a deep truth that isn't scientific as far as I'm concerned, but isn't non-scientific either. It is not disproven by science. You can point to it with science, but it's, to me, a larger truth than what science talks about. So I have a purpose for talking about all of this, and I didn't realize I was going to spend so much time prefacing it, because I haven't even started my talk yet. But what I'm going to do now is say that this ism, I'm going to go back to the ism that is to me somewhat animistic. That was what I wanted to do, was say that for me, because I am a Buddhist, I accept the ism Buddhism. It means a lot of things for me. I'm playful with it. I'm serious about it. I'm many things about it, but I accept it as ism. For me, I am a Buddhist, and I'm totally clear about it. And if somebody wants to talk to me about it or ask me to give a talk in front of people, I can do that. I am a Buddhist. But it also includes a lot of other isms for me. It overlaps with all kinds of other isms, like animism. But it's animism in a particular way. And there might be other people who have their own animism that somehow it's not necessarily contradictory to me, but it's their thing. It's their animism. Do you see what I mean? I don't want to I realized on that night that I didn't want to incorporate animism. I wanted to let it be something else too, that isn't what I have a perfect idea about, because I tend to be very well thought in terms of what I think about the world, if you see what I mean. So I am a Buddhist. It is my ism. And that ism has to do with practice, primarily, as we know, like ethical practice, meditative practice, and wisdom practice. That's the threefold path: ethics, meditation, and wisdom. And we have an ethical practice that we, in a sense, receive from our teachers. A Buddhist practice is actually to receive your ethical practice. It isn't to simply ask yourself what I think is right. I mean, it's not that either. But on one level, the reason I wear this kesa is because I've accepted it. I have a preceptor, meaning I've accepted Buddhist precepts. And this is a code of conduct that isn't always easy for me to follow. And it resonates with my ideal, kind of a natural ideal. Like, I see it as an aspiration. It's something I want. It mostly has to do with kindness, right? Truthfulness. But it also has to do with simplicity and renunciation that often comes in contact with my personal desires in a way that, I have to question, do I need the things I need? Do I need, it asks me to be simple and, to have that as an ideal. And it also asks me to view the world in such a way that my goals are not about making myself more comfortable. They aren't about making my reputation better amongst other people. They aren't about creating more security for myself at the expense of others. These kinds of things. They are about viewing the world in such a way that I want to be generous. Yeah. And security just for myself. and comfort and satisfaction just for myself does diminish. I have noticed that it diminishes my generosity. Yeah, so that's there is something there. It isn't just me saying what I think is good about the world. I'm actually taking precepts on and asking myself, am I following these? And it's a kind of, there is some kind of, there's a little bit. And, some Buddhist practices, and they take on different, you can ask, some monks will take on lists of precepts that really are like that, right? Like they don't eat before noon, they don't touch money, there's a lot of things that you might do with precepts. And that you can't reduce Buddhist practice to any set of ethical principles. But nonetheless, as a general principle, the ethics you take on are not completely something that don't challenge you, right? They challenge you. That's all I wanted to say about ethics. They will challenge you. And that's why you do them. That's why they're an undertaking. That's why you take them from another person. You can take them from the Buddha. You can take them from your preceptor. You can take them from your tradition. But in a sense, the purpose is that there's some sense that you are working to become more kind, more generous, less grasping, etc. And there are ways to do that. And then we have meditation, which is a practice that comes into relationship with ethics. In meditation, we have noticed the conditional nature of the way in which we behave. We've noticed that a mind that is kind, right? Let's even talk more generally. We have noticed that there are certain states of mind, we don't even have to label them, that tend to make it easier to be ethical, easier to be truthful, easier to be generous. And they have almost like a mental texture that we can recognize, and we can cultivate them in meditation. And when we sit still, hold our body in, doesn't matter what position, but we take a position. In a sense, that's our ethical practice for a little while. I'm meditating now, so therefore I am going to notice that maybe I want to do something else. But instead, I'm just going to sit here. Like, it's a kind of simple ethical practice to just be silent, cultivate whatever you can in contentment, sit still for a little while, and notice different types of mind come and go. Because different types of minds are coming and going all the time. Yeah, so you notice the conditional nature of mind. Some types of mind make it quite easy to sit here. Some types of mind make it a little harder. And that's happening all the time. And that's just the practice. And we simply find a way energetically to cultivate the type of mind that makes it a little easier to sit here. That's an oversimplification, because there's also the type of mind that makes it really easy to sit here, but also just, So we're also doing some other things other than just the type of mind that makes it easy to sit here. But I'm not going to go all the way into meditation right now. The point is it's a whole sphere of practice that deals with the mind and deals with cultivating a mind that actually makes it easier to do the ethics that we have committed ourselves to, which largely has to do with generosity, kindness, and simplicity, not needing to have the world be, or our personal possessions be, a particular way. And that brings me to the actual topic of my talk, which is wisdom, which is very hard to talk about. And what I'm going to do now is recite the Heart Sutra, which some of you may be familiar with. The Bodhisattva of Compassion, while meditating deeply, saw the emptiness of all five skandhas: form, feeling, thought, choice, consciousness, and sundered the bonds that caused her suffering. And so she said, "Here then," speaking to her own conceptual mind, "Here then, form is no other than emptiness. emptiness no other than form. Feeling, thought, and choice are the same as this. All things are by nature void. They are not born or destroyed, nor are they stained or pure, nor do they wax or wane. So in emptiness, no form, no feeling, thought, or choice, no eye, ear, nose, no tongue, body, mind, no color, sound, smell, taste, touch, or what the mind takes hold of, nor even act of sensing. No ignorance, no end of it, nor all that comes of ignorance. No withering, no death, no end of them. Nor is there pain, or cause of pain, or cease in pain, or noble path to lead from pain. Not even wisdom to attain. Attainment too is emptiness. So know that the Bodhisattva, holding to nothing whatever, but dwelling in prajna, wisdom, is freed of delusive hindrance, rid of the fear bred by it, and reaches clearest nirvana. All Buddhas of past and present, Buddhas of future time, using this prajna wisdom, come to full and perfect vision. Hear then the great dharani, the radiant peerless mantra, the prajna paramita, whose words allay all pain. Hear and believe its truth. Gati gati paragati parasamgati bodhisvaha. Gati gati paragati parasamgati bodhisvaha. Gati gati paragati parasamgati bodhisvaha. So, this sutta is the Bodhisattva of Compassion. And I do this because it's 1,000 arms holding a bunch of little implements, helping all beings, working really hard to try and help everybody be happy. Okay? You can imagine. And she's meditating deeply. And she's looking into her experience, form, feeling, thought, choice, consciousness. You can imagine the consciousness, the forms, the feelings, the thoughts related and helping all beings, like every implement in every hand, helping all beings, form, feeling, thought, choice, and consciousness. And and she's taking a little break just to meditate, right? To meditate deeply, profoundly on her experience. And she sunders the bonds that cause her suffering in relationship to this incredible task of helping all beings in every way they can need to be helped, right? The Bodhisattva of Compassion. And she sundered the bonds by seeing the emptiness of form, feeling, thought, choice, and consciousness. And this whole sutta is a conversation between Avalokiteshvara and Sariputra. Okay, and I'm not going to give a whole background on the history of Buddhism, but Sariputra was one of the Buddha's lead disciples who was super wise, understood the technical aspects of what the Buddha taught, understood all of the mental states that were good and the mental states that were bad, and understood how to talk about the nature of how craving causes suffering, right? Basically telling us how to practice so that we can be less craving and therefore more happy. So Sariputra had it all worked out, understood all the concepts that were necessary that the Buddha taught. But it's still, so this conversation is Avalokiteshvara talking to Sariputra, telling Sariputra what was really necessary to make meaning of all those teachings, of all those ethics, of all those meditative states where one knows the very nature of what mental state leads to positive ethics and release. And what was it that Avalokiteshvara says to Sariputra? And I just want to say that you can see this as, in a sense, the heart complete mind, the mind that is complete and released, talking to the mind that is not, the mind that has a conceptual understanding of what the teaching is, the ism. Right? So that's what's happening. It's the mind talking to the mind. It's the released mind talking to the mind that is unreleased. The mind that knows all the teachings and is really trying but is not released, is not free. That is what this whole sutta is about. And so what does Avalokiteshvara say to this almost released mind, the mind that's really working hard to follow ethics, to cultivate the mind, to concentrate, to become free? What she says is, form is no other than emptiness. Okay, so what do we do with that? Well, it's an invitation, I believe. It's an invitation to know that the compassion and the release and the freedom is an experience free from division, free from opposition, free from this. Because we might get so much into our practice that this is actually how we operate with regard to ourselves, right? We take our ethics, we do our things, we do our practices, and this is what we get. We sit still and we watch the minds come and go. And that's rough a lot of the time. And sometimes it's very contenting, but then it's rough again. And then it's contenting, and then it's rough again. And what do we do with that? Well, there's something else. There's some completeness where we accept the ripples on the water. We accept the tornadoes that happen on top of the ocean. I used to say hurricanes. The hurricanes that happen on top of the ocean. We accept them as all part of the entire environment of being. But it doesn't mean we don't practice. And so Avalokiteshvara has essentially resolved all conflicts in this vision, and has told the heart that is unresolved, it's okay, be unresolved. It's all right, be unresolved. There is no attainment and no non-attainment. There's no withering, no death, and no end of them. And I think the message is, if we go back to ethics, meditation, and wisdom, the Buddhist path has ethics, many paths have ethics. The Buddhist path has meditation, many paths have meditation. And something that possibly other paths don't have, which I would not say is universally true, is this dissolving, this invitation for it to be completely, everything is optional. Everything is an invitation for you to be complete. Everything, all this practice is about the release into non-suffering, which is not about dividing up this from that. It's about letting go of all conceit, everything we are that wants to have a pecking order within our own mind or within society. Like, this is better than that. Calmness is better than agitation. Sitting still on a cushion is better than sitting in a chair. Whatever kind of conceit, whatever kind of measuring that you're doing with yourself and your previous self, or with you and your friends, or you and your future self who might be a Buddha, all that measuring is unnecessary. Completely unnecessary, and you can let go of it. You can hold to nothing whatever and just dwell in the perfection of wisdom, which is not separate or different than compassion. That is the idea, that compassion doesn't need your thoughts, it doesn't need your ideas, it doesn't need any system of practice. It is what's true. What's true and real about sentient experience is compassion. Fundamentally, it's universally true and unchanging. That's what I have to say about the wisdom aspect of Buddhism. It's self-dissolving. Because whenever we have a concept of what it is we think we're supposed to be doing, it is hiding actual experience from us. But that doesn't mean we don't have concepts. It means we don't hold to them. Because we can't pay attention if we're lost in an idea of what we're doing. Yeah, so Avalokiteshvara let go of an idea of what she was doing and just released herself to be a complete failure at helping all beings be happy. And yet she still helped all beings be happy. So that's all. Any questions?
The word compassion and my interpretation of compassion is what drew me to Buddhism in the first place. Yeah. And I still feel that.
Is it hand online?
Who is it?
Tom.
Tom?
Oh, my word. I have to say, you have put my head on tilt in this talk. I often summarize the talks, and yours are often, I wouldn't say challenging. There's a richness and a deepness that I look forward to unpacking. And today you have exceeded that. I'm so grateful for the depth of perception you shared in the Heart Sutra. I've never looked at it the way you just expounded on. And so with great gratitude, I just wanted to say that. Sometimes in a talk like this, we're left almost speechless, and I think, the speaker must think they didn't get it, But there's a deepness there. One thing that you said early on, I just thought I would comment on because I thought it was intriguing, was this idea that our memories are not necessarily stored in us, but they're in, spaces and places and people. I heard a talk from someone saying that, as we often notice, especially as we get older maybe, that we'll get up from a room and go into the kitchen or somewhere else and we forget why we did it. And they were saying that in their understanding, our memories are in spaces. And when we cross a threshold, we go from one room to another, there's this dissolving. There's this transfer into a different space, and the memory is left behind. It's not that we're getting old and senile, necessarily. But I thought that was really intriguing, and in a way you touched on it. So, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
I feel very similar. Prasadachitta, about your talk. I'm very grateful, and in particular, I really loved your recitation of the Heart Sutra. Would you mind doing that again?
No, I wouldn't mind. Now?
Sure.
So I will, before I say it again, I will say this is our founding teacher. Basically, there's a lot of things we might memorize, but this is the one thing that he basically asked us all to memorize. And this is the rendition that we memorize. And I will underline that the original version has this discourse it has a kind of preamble between Sariputra and Avalokiteshvara. So what we do is just bit with Avalokiteshvara. The Bodhisattva of Compassion, while meditating deeply, saw the emptiness of all five skandhas and sundered the bonds that caused her suffering. Here then, form is no other than emptiness, emptiness no other than form. Form is only emptiness, emptiness only form. feeling, thought, and choice, consciousness itself, are the same as this. All things are by nature void. They are not born or destroyed, nor are they stained or pure, nor do they wax or wane. So in emptiness, no form, no feeling, thought, or choice, nor is there consciousness, no eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind, no color, sound, smell, taste, touch, or what the mind takes hold of, nor even act of sensing, no ignorance or end of it, nor all that comes of ignorance, no withering, no death, no end of them. Nor is there pain or cause of pain or cease in pain or noble path to lead from pain, not even wisdom to attain. Attainment too is emptiness. So know that the Bodhisattva, holding to nothing whatever, but dwelling in prajna wisdom, is freed of delusive hindrance, rid of the fear bred by it, and reaches clearest nirvana. All Buddhas of past and present, Buddhas of future time, using this prajna wisdom, come to full and perfect vision. Hear then the great dharani, the radiant, peerless mantra, the prajna paramita, whose words allay all pain. Hear and believe its truth. Gate, gate, paragate, parasamgate, bodhiswaha. Gate, gate, paragate, parasamgate, bodhiswaha. Gate, gate, paragate, parasamgate, bodhiswaha. So the mantra roughly means gone beyond, 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 completely beyond. The Buddha has gone beyond.
Thank you for that. I used to belong to a Sangha.
Thank you very much.
Oh, sorry. I used to belong to a Sangha before this one called Q Sangha, and we did that every week. So it took me back in time, which is really sweet. And it's a very sweet memory.
Yeah. Good.
Anyone else?
Prasadachitta, I would like to have you come back sometime and give a full talk just on what it really means, this challenge we take on when we take precepts. I was particularly moved by you saying that what your sash represents. It isn't decorative. It isn't a badge of, it's not something you wear. It represents this challenge that you have taken on. Now, I would love to hear a full talk on that sometime in the future. So thank you.
Anyone else? Do we have announcements?
Yes, I have a couple. GBF's Bhagavad Pioneer Retreat, April 17th to the 21st. The registration is still open. A private room to open up if that's appealing. And so all the information is on our website. I want to remind people that we have an account at Community Thrift at 17th and Valencia. It's a great way to support the Sangha. Just let them know whatever you're donating is for GBF, and check their website because they were kind of particular about what they take. And lastly, I'm your host today, so I'll do the host spiel here. Please stay and enjoy the company of the Sangha. There are cookies and really good apples out there. The apples are vegan, the cookies are not. If you use a cup, just put it in the dishwasher when you're done. I'll be going around with the Dharma bowl, accepting contributions. Your generosity is much appreciated. suggested $10 to $20, and things that the Dharma supports is an honorarium for our Dharma speakers, rent for this beautiful center, our quarterly newsletter mail mostly to people incarcerated, and to support our retreats. We do 2 a year, and April is the first one. There'll be another one in September, and that information. All the information is on the website, and April will be coming out. The September retreat information will be coming after we do the April. There's a sign-up sheet on the credenza, and some people go out to lunch at noon. You might 12:30. You might consider inviting someone to join the group.
Thank you, Richard. Sure. Anyone else?
I want to announce that we had some last-minute cancellations for their spring retreat, so we're going to extend the registration period until next Sunday. There's still a private room available, and the lower bunks in the dorm room, there are very few people in the dorm rooms, and they're very comfortable, have a curtain and a reading light, so it's pretty private. And Sean Fight Oaks will be our teacher, so it's a rare opportunity. Go to the website, gaybuddhist.org, for more information.
Thank you, Jeff. Anyone else? I'd like to thank Richard and Jeff and Jerry and everybody who put the retreat together ahead of time. I'm looking forward to it. Thank you. Thank you.
Pleasure.
Time to gather for the dedication of merit. By the power and truth of this practice, may all beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. May all be free from sorrow and the causes of sorrow. May all never be separated from the sacred happiness which is without sorrow. And may all live in equanimity without too much attachment or too much aversion, believing in the equality of all that lives. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Gay Buddhist Forum. If you would like to hear several new talks per month and be notified of upcoming speakers so you can participate live, please subscribe to this podcast, like us on Facebook, and join our mailing list by visiting gaybuddhist.org.